Welcome to the Lean Out Your Business podcast, a show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs accelerate business growth and simplify success. I'm your host, Krista Grasso, and I've been working with businesses for more than 2 decades to help them lean out and optimize what's working while eliminating anything that's not adding value. So if you are ready to get more time back in your day, more profit in your business, and to do business differently, growing and scaling on your terms, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. Today, we are going to be diving into how to scale your visibility using video with a return podcast guest, Miss Karen Fagan. Karen was one of my original guests back, almost 2 or 3 years ago now. This week is actually the 3-year anniversary of the podcast, believe it or not. Can't believe it's been going on for that long. When Karen was on the podcast the first time, she was sharing with us how to unapologetically reclaim your power. So if you missed that episode, I highly encourage you to go back and listen. But this time, I invited Karen to come back on because what she has done with her online presence and visibility in videos since then is so impressive. And her growth with that has been just so impressive. I can't even think of another word other than impressive because it has been so impressive. So I asked Karen if she would come on and share some of her insights and some of what she's doing and some of what she's experimenting with to get such incredible growth in her brand. So let me tell you a little bit about Karen, and then we're going to get into all of her visibility strategies and what she's doing with video. So Karen Fagan is an international empowerment expert who is passionate about helping women reclaim their power and get exactly what they want in life. She teaches and coaches women how to uncover who they truly are so they can generate and experience extraordinary passion, pleasure, and purpose. Karen, welcome back to the podcast.
Hello. Congratulations on your 3-year anniversary.
Thank you. I know it's hard to believe. I was thinking about it. And not only have I done this podcast for 3 years, but before the podcast, I did a live in my Facebook group for 2 years. And it made me realize I've been going live and talking for 5 years straight. Yet, ironically, in all that time, aside from being live on video, I had done very little video in my brand. If you would look at my Instagram feed, if you would look at any of my social, it was mostly static posts. I never really did a lot of video. And I know you have been a big supporter in me branching out and doing more video and really helping me with that. And I've been seeing your growth in your trajectory with what you've been doing. And so tell us a little bit about what you do with video and how it's working for you.
So what I do with video, and this is extremely important to say because it was my experience, is if you have a gut to either step into video to create more visibility or do more of it, I highly encourage you to listen to that and act on it immediately, because that was my experience. And so what I did is I made a commitment to be visible, to take my message and be more visible. And so I did a lot of learning and creating consistency with video and hitting the record button. That's a very simple way to put it. And what I did is decided to connect with my audience, to grow my audience. And it's been incredible what has happened. The growth is beyond, when you start to do video and you're growing on these platforms, you don't really know what's going to happen. And so the growth is more than what I expected to happen.
Yeah, can you share some of the numbers? Because when you kind of took me behind the scenes and shared a little bit what you were seeing, I was like, okay, I need to get over myself and hurry up and get going with video. So tell us some of your stats.
Yeah. So, I've had viral videos. I have grown 10x on Instagram, on Facebook. And this is another point I want to make. Sometimes we think oh, I don't want to be there because of whatever reason. And people are on Facebook, a lot of them. My numbers on Facebook, I was maybe at 4,500 followers since like the beginning of time. And now I'm at like 87, 88,000 because of my videos, short form video. Like that like insane to me, right? Because I kind of got off Facebook. I was on Instagram and thought that was the place. And I realized there's a lot of people to serve. And sometimes we can make our own assumption that, oh, I don't want to be here based on our liking. And what I am saying is that be open because your people are everywhere on social media.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and that's something that I've really been reconsidering as well because I personally love Instagram. For any of you who follow me on Instagram, you know I'm there all the time. You frequently see me sharing my cute, adorable dogs behind the scenes in my stories. That is where I hang out. That is where you're more likely to interact with me. But I'm realizing when I look at where my clients are, when I look at where my market is, they're not just on Instagram. In fact, a lot of them aren't even on Instagram. Many of them are on LinkedIn. And as much as I personally do not use and don't really like Facebook, that is where a lot of my clients are. So as I looked at my strategy for this year, I really thought about get over what you like and look at where is your market and how can you meet your market where and how they want to consume content so that you're visible.
Yes. Yes. And, if your client is over the age of 35, Facebook is still a really great resource. And not to just push Facebook, but I was really shocked about what happened with my growth on there.
Yeah. Yeah. And now tell us your strategy overall for doing this, because I bet for those of you listening, it's a mix of some people who kind of more casually do video here and there, and some who really regularly do video but want to expand their reach or expand their results. So how do you approach your video content so that you're not spending a huge amount of time, but you're still getting great reach and great engagement and great impact?
So I decided to do short form video, which is the, 30 to 90-second videos compared to long form. And what I did is I did a lot of it consistently. And that's where the growth really came in for me. I just watched the numbers. I would post, then do another post, and then over time those posts just kept growing and growing and growing. So that was my strategy. Is I had a bare minimum. We are posting this many posts, and if I do more, great. But if not, this is the bare minimum, and doing it consistently. And that's where the momentum came for me.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is, did you have a background with video or did you just fully teach yourself this?
I did not have a background with video. However, I heard from a lot of people how much they like me on video. And I had different thoughts about that. And there's a couple of things about video. When you first start, there's you on video, and then there's the real you on video. And when you get the real you to come out, that's where the magic happens. So one of my clients, which just she did a VIP day, we're working together. She had hired a lot of expensive marketing companies to help her with video. She never got results. And during our VIP day, she had this awakening. We were working on her messaging, and she realized she wasn't being herself on video. And that is really huge because people can feel you through your video. And when I first started, I thought, who is this person on video? But it's the willingness to keep showing up and keep hitting the record button.
So let's talk a little bit more about that because I think it's really interesting, even for seasoned pros who've been doing video for a really long time. Sometimes their videos, it feels like a different personality or a different persona than when you actually get them on a Zoom call or get them on the phone and end up talking to them. And so, how do you take your personality, your authenticity, you, and cram it into a 30 to 90-second video and have that come through consistently.
I am going to say practice, but your video, it really depends, there's entertaining, there's education, right? There's different forms of video. But when you go on video, you're not performing, which it can feel like a performance. One of my kind of struggles is that I was so used to talking to people, having people in front of me, right? Leading my masterminds, leading all this. And then I'd go on video and like, no one is there. And so being able to have just like we're having a conversation, and that requires learning, practice, and it just becomes something you get. And I think the more that your authentic self comes out, the more you actually get visibility, because it's like the real you.
I'm so glad you said that because I had that same experience where, I mean, I'm on video all day long. I can talk all day long, literally. I don't get tired talking ever. I will just keep talking. And so no issue with that whatsoever, but you just stick a phone in front of your face or a video camera in front of your face and you're completely by yourself. And it feels kind of awkward in the beginning. And it's kind of like, all right, what? It took me a while to get used to it. And I remember even if we rewind back 5+ years ago when I started doing my regular Facebook lives, even it, in the beginning, I didn't have people in the comments interacting with me. So I'm just talking. As it built up, it was different. But I would have people come on video with me just so I had somebody I could talk to because it felt so awkward to just be staring at my camera. And I'm like, I know this is live. I know people are seeing it, but I'm not interacting with somebody. So it took a little bit to kind of build that muscle. Do you have any tips for people other than just practice?
Well, here's what it is. So when I decided to 100% commit and throw myself all in, I hired a video team, and they would come. We would do VIP days, and I said to the man, "I'm so nice on video. I don't like this. Like, I'm nice, but I just feel like I'm so nice." And then he taught me. He said, "Because we got to bring the real you out, right?" And so what I did is I would record myself, then I would watch myself, and I would just break it down. And he helped kind of point out when I was being the real me and when I kind of dropped into like performance mode. So I was able to say, oh, yeah, this is the real me. This isn't. So it's recording yourself and then being willing to watch yourself and just give yourself feedback, not judge it, but real feedback. Is this really me? Would I talk to my best friend, a client, or whoever, that way?
What I love about that, I'm not a big sports person, but if I was, I imagine that this is how it goes down. But you hear all the time of players who kind of watch their games or watch themselves. And it's a commitment to them being the best athlete they can be in watching to see how they could do something different or what worked or what didn't. It kind of reminds me of that, in that if you want to really get good results, if you really want to get visible and get comfortable with that visibility, what better way to do it than to actually watch yourself and kind of look for those opportunities to get better and to repeat what's working.
And I'll give you this for an example. So there are some, women in their 50s that I follow, and the ones that are really, really good on video, it's because they've been in broadcast their whole career, and the second half of their life, they have stepped into kind of this online world. And I say that they're so good because they've had a lifetime of being news anchors, right, always being in front of the camera. So just saying, the more you do it, the better you just get.
So you have been helping me with video. For any of you who do follow me on Instagram, you will notice that my content has shifted a bit from many more static posts to more video posts, and I've been getting more comfortable with it as well. I'm super comfortable on video, but for me, what was the challenge was going to short form video. I am more of a long form content producer, hence this podcast. My newsletters, if you ever read them, they are books. I do not do short form content. So trying to figure out how to take everything I had to say and put it into this little short 30 to 60-second segment, it was like retraining my brain and rethinking about things. And you gave me a framework that was incredibly helpful. And since I've been doing that more, I've actually gotten some of my videos down to even 40 seconds, 30 seconds. Whereas in the beginning, I thought 60 seconds would be impossible. So can you share with people what that framing is for how to think about a short form video?
Yeah, so for your short form video, you want to first get clear what is the point of the video. I know that sounds obvious, but that doesn't always happen. Like, what is the point of this video, and why is my audience going to care? Meaning, why will they watch the video, listen, and how is it going to help them? So it's having your hook. What's going to get them to watch the video? And then what is the value that you're giving them? Are you giving them tips? Are you going to entertain them? Tell them a story. And then it's having a call to action. You always want to have a call to action. People respond better when they're told what to do. So that's the simple breakdown of the framework. And if you take all your content and you just work through that framework, that's how you get from long to short real quick.
And it seriously seemed like pushing a boulder up a mountain the very first time we talked about it. And then it got so easy. I feel like my brain, like the switch flipped. And now I feel like I think that way as I'm approaching things. And so it was just, I mean, it might sound simple, but if you do it a few times, it's such a great concept. And I've noticed myself applying it to all of my content, not just my short form video.
Yeah, I've had clients go back and rewrite like opt-in pages, sales pages from all of it, because it's getting your messaging really succinct.
Yep, it's leaning it out. Look at that.
Yes, it is.
I love it. Okay, so for the listener who maybe is not really consistent with video today, let's start here. I'd love to hear some of your tips, and then I want to dive into those who already are and some ways to optimize and up-level what they're doing. So for someone who's not as consistent with video, what would you recommend that they do to start increasing their visibility?
I would recommend 100%. You have to get consistent. And also, stepping into video is really knowing when your time of the day is to just get video done. Mine is like Monday morning. We are getting this content done, right? That works really well. So it's committing to being consistent and then scheduling in the content, because if you don't schedule in the time to create it, there's writing your scripts, like what are my videos going to be this week, what are they about, and then there's the recording, and then it's the edit. And so either you're going to edit or you hire someone, but it's kind of like those three phases. So one is deciding to be committed. Two is getting in your schedule when you're going to record, and then making a determination of how many video posts that you'll do. And I recommend at least 3. You will get lost. I don't even need to say this, but we all know there's so much content out there. So to really be in the algorithm, to be seen, you get rewarded for the more that you post. That's just the way the algorithm works. So I would say 3, at least 3. That's what I did, and I had massive growth.
Fantastic. Now, how about the people who do already really consistently post video? They've been doing it for a while and they're looking for some of those next level strategies to really expand their visibility.
I would say making sure you know the ins and the outs. So, as far as what's working and what's outdated. So for an example, you don't have to do 1,000 hashtags on Instagram really on any platform anymore, because the words that you write in your description, that goes into the algorithm, like the search. So it's knowing those types of things, what's working to go to the next level. Thing about social media, we all know it's always changing. So staying current, knowing what's working, that's what will take you to the next level. And what can happen is you learn certain ways, just like, when Instagram first came out and it was primarily photos with a bunch of hashtags. It's different now. It's different.
Yeah, now something that you do that's really interesting that I'd love to hear you share a little bit more about your strategy around is you have the same kind of core content that you make sure that you mention on repeat. And that seems like it's really helped people get to know you and get to know your brand and really expanded your reach. So was that intentional, accidental? How can people leverage that strategy? Tell us a little bit about it.
I say trust your gut and be willing. Be willing. So if you're on, the content creation and you're doing, fairly well and you want to go to the next level, be willing to try something different. And that's what I did. I just had this huge gut knowing that said, do this, talk about this. And the second I did, and I mean the second I did, it was like fireworks went off. So you got to be willing to look at what is your message and how could you say it in a different way in which people will really resonate with.
Yeah, absolutely. And you say you have three words that you use repeatedly in many of your videos, and it's kind of become your signature. But what I love about when you do that is even though you're using similar words, every video is unique and you're sharing a different concept.
Yes, and what's really interesting, because I primarily speak to women, is that, if I run into a man who follows me, he's like, your content, or I get messages, it's really relevant to men, so those words resonate with a lot of people. And it was something that came to me, and I was like, let me try this out. And I did.
Love it. All right. So tell people a little bit about what you do. I know I asked you to come on today to share your video magic, which is amazing, but tell people about your core business. And also, if they are curious about learning more about what you do with video, where they can.
My core business is to empower women to get what you want, to really step into that future identity that you see for yourself, living your dream life now. How I've been helping a lot of women is through visibility and through video. And that is one, getting really clear on what are your goals? What do you want the outcome of your content to be? And then reworking messaging and then teaching the technique that I have used to grow. So if you want to find out more about me right now, you can go to confidencewithkaren.com/masterclass. I have a free masterclass coming up, so you can check that out.
Absolutely. And that link, of course, will be down below in the show notes. All right. So, as we round out this interview here, what are some of your kind of final tips for people when it comes to really scaling visibility, leveraging video in your brand?
Press record. Press record. Even if you don't, feel like it, think it's going to, press record and keep pressing record. That is how you're going to get massive visibility in your business.
Such a great tip, such a great tip. And one story that I want to just share before we wrap up here that I know I've heard you mention before is that one of your pieces of content that ended up going viral was a piece of content that you almost weren't going to publish. And it made me think of my own story, how my one piece of content that went really viral ended up being a video that I didn't even know I published. I thought it was private. And if I had realized that it was going to be public, I don't know that I would have actually published it. So can you tell a little bit about that story? Because I think so often we just overemphasize certain things that don't really matter.
Yes. So, and, you know, I think women, we do this. We can be our own worst critics. So I did a video and I thought, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to post this. I don't know. Maybe I don't look so great. It's just kind of judging myself. And then I caught myself and said, no, we're committed. This is what we're doing. We press record, then we press post. That's what we do. And that video, that was the one that started all my numbers growing. And so I look back on it, I felt like, I don't know, it looked like I had like black all here, it wasn't like my optimal, but that's the whole thing about video. Sometimes we think we have to look a certain way or it has to be perfect. And I'm here to tell you, press record and press post, because if I didn't post that video, wow.
Mm-hmm. Same with mine. It has over 1 million views now. And I literally did not even know that I made the video public. I thought that I used the setting where you can share it with people who just have the link. I had no idea that I made that video public, and I wouldn't have. And if I hadn't, that video would not have gone viral. So
yeah. And this is the mindset that I got into, that it's really about, what's the whole big goal of doing this? It's to create impact. It's to reach more people. It's to give people information that will actually really change their life. And so I had to get myself out of the way. I had to get myself just out of the way. And being willing to do it imperfectly is where the growth will come in. Even if you're having good results and you want to grow to the next level, being willing to play with tweaking your messaging, saying it differently, that type of thing, you'll have a measurement of, is this working or isn't it?
Karen, thanks so much for being a return guest on the show and sharing all of your brilliance and what you're doing right now to really increase visibility with video with us. If someone's interested in learning more about the video piece of your work, since I know this isn't your core business, but you are doing this and sharing this special for me and our listeners, where can they go to learn more about it?
You can go to confidencewithkaren.com/video.
Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you again next week. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode. If you have not yet taken our scalability assessment, I invite you to head to leanoutmethod.com/assessment and take our interactive assessment that's going to help you look at how simple, how sustainable, and how scalable your business currently is. It includes personalized recommendations of where to focus next to get your time back, to increase your impact, increase your profits, and ultimately step into your rich, fulfilled life. And finally, we'd love to see you inside our signature program, Simplify to Scale. You can head to leanoutmethod.com/ops to find all of the details on how we can help you uplevel your operations and get out of the day-to-day of your business.